What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Season 10, Episode 11, For Richer or For Poorer. So let's get started with Rob and Sophie. So when we see Rob and Sophie, what are they doing? They're arguing again. So this time they're arguing about a duvet. So supposedly Sophie woke Rob up and told him that she wanted to go buy a duvet. Now, I know that if I'm dead asleep, and you're waking me up to tell me that you want to go buy a duvet, I'm going to have an attitude as well. So I don't know why she decided to wake him up to talk about a damn duvet, but here we are. So he gets upset with her because either he feels like they don't need it or he was upset that she woke him up. I'm not exactly sure, but they get into this argument, this full-blown argument about a duvet. So we all know that the issue is not the duvet at all. They have these underlying issues. So I don't know if the underlying issue is the fact that maybe he feels like he can't afford her. She's always wanting something. She feels like, he can't give her the basics of life, such as an apartment with an indoor bathroom, a separate kitchen, a little bit bigger instead of just this one big room with no closet, no space. Plus, they're living with this really big dog. So whatever the issue, maybe it's all of the above, but they're arguing about a duvet. That's what they want to argue about. And it gets so bad that she actually walks out onto the patio and she gets on the phone with her mom. And she calls her mom and she tells her mom that Rob is being unreasonable because he won't buy a duvet. And then when you tell your mom things like this about your fiance, your mom is going to also resent him and think that it's crazy for you to go on with this relationship, but then you're going to fight tooth and nail to stay in this relationship and furthermore to get married. So this whole entire scene, they were both a little bit immature. They both should have realized that, hey, it's not a big deal. Why are we arguing about a duvet? This is crazy. But they didn't. But I feel like in this situation, Sophie was probably a little bit more on the immature side because, girl, if you want a duvet, go get one. If he says, no, I'm not going to buy it, or I don't want it, or we don't need it, and you really want it, girl, just go get on Amazon and order one. Like, I'm not understanding why we're arguing about a duvet. And furthermore, you're not going to be waking up somebody to talk about a duvet. And so that's just not going to happen, Sophie. That was just completely uncalled for. So after that, we see them at a brewery. They go to a brewery, and while they're sitting there, they're having a conversation about, the fact that they haven't been getting along and they've been arguing a lot and they need to try to improve their communication skills, which is like, okay, wonderful. They both acknowledge that they're having a problem and they know what that problem is, and this is how they're going to solve it. But it was very short-lived because the next time that we see Rob and Sophie, they are at an adult toy store. And while they're there, they're perusing, they're window shopping, they're looking around, picking, considering this object or that object. And all of a sudden, the store employee approaches them and tells them both that, hey, y'all are a really good looking couple. I see that y'all are open-minded to a whole lot of things. Are you also open-minded to including a third party, meaning herself? So Rob tells Sophie, well, I'm going to defer this question to you. And Sophie was like, why? And then the store employee was like, well, I'm actually asking you. And she was referring to Sophie. So she's like, I'm actually asking you. And Sophie's asking Rob. And it's kind of like, what are we doing here? And so Rob is like, I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Sophie, you handle this. It's up to you. You make the call. So Sophie gets upset again because she wanted Rob to completely shut it down. She wanted Rob to tell the employee that, hey, we don't do that. We're not into that. It's just the two of us in this relationship. We're engaged. We're going to get married. This is my fiance, and we would never consider adding anybody else. So then Sophie takes the argument a step further. So she starts telling Rob that because he didn't shut it down with the employee, then it makes her think that he still wants to be with other people, that he's not satisfied with just just her. So all of her insecurities start showing. And Rob is completely confused because he's like, you're not going to put this on me because I deferred the question to you. Now, if Rob would have answered for her, if he would have made the call and said, hell yeah, we're down for a third party, or no, we're not down for a third party, whatever he would have said, if he was the one to answer the store employee, then I feel like Sophie might have been like, why are you answering for me? Why are you talking for me? Why are you making a decision for me? I can speak for myself. You don't have to answer the question for me. I feel like either way, Rob was going to be in trouble. So then Sophie gets so upset, they get into this full-blown argument right there in the store in front of the employees, and Sophie forces him to apologize to her. Now, that's one thing that I will never understand, because when you're forcing someone to apologize, it seems like you're just trying to show how controlling you really are. And you are basically proving to the other person, or trying to show the other person, that I run the show and I'm going to make you say what I want you to say. It's all about control. That's how I see it. I might be wrong, but that's how I see it. Because she tells him, I want you to apologize. And so he gives up. He doesn't want to argue. So he's like, okay, Sophie, I'm sorry. And then she says, what are you sorry for? And then he says something like, well, I'm sorry for making you upset, or whatever he said. And so then she says, well, I want you to say, I'm sorry for wanting to be with another woman. And he was like, hold up, that's not even what I said. That's not what I thought. That's not what I wanted. Where is that coming from? And I'm not going to apologize for that because that's not how I felt. And that's not even what I wanted. So why would I apologize for that? So then they go back and forth. And it just ended right there with them arguing about this. And it was just so nonsensical, because yes, the employee was, trying to be very flirty with them, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, there has to be a time in your life when you are faced with a moment, or you're in a situation where you just really have to be the bigger person. And as much as it's going to hurt to be the bigger person, you're just going to have to make that. Sophie should have just respectfully declined, and they should have walked out of the store and kept it moving. There was no need for them to embarrass themselves like this in the store. When he said, I'm deferring this question to you because you're the one that just came out as bisexual, he doesn't know, because she told him that when she came out as bisexual, she told him that she had never experienced anything with a woman. And in the back of his mind, he's always going to be questioning, is she curious enough to want to act on that? Because she's never done that before, supposedly. That's what she says. Is there going to come a time when she's going to want to satisfy that curiosity? And he wants to be involved when she does. She doesn't want him involved if that should ever happen. Well, to her, it will never happen because she says, I only want to be with Rob, nobody else. But he thinks that there's going to come a time when she's going to want to act on it, and he wants to be there. So that's why he was like, I'm going to let you take control of this question and take control of this situation because, you're the one that's open to, whatever. But it turned into this. And I feel like he really got dealt wrong by her. And I think that she really showed her immature. These two people are very immature. Both of them are extremely immature. I don't know how they're going to handle a marriage. I don't know how they're going to handle the day-to-day struggles of a marriage, finances and all kinds of stuff that gets thrown at you when you're trying to build a life together. I just don't think these two people are going to be able to handle it at all, because they've argued more than they've done anything else. They even admitted that they haven't even been intimate that much because they're so busy arguing and resenting each other and giving each other the silent treatment. So that could have been handled a lot better. I see nothing wrong with Rob saying, I'm not going to answer that question. You have to ask my girlfriend or ask my fiance. And then her telling the store employee, thanks, but no thanks. We're not really into threesomes or whatever, menage a trois. We don't do that. We're not into that. We're engaged. It's just the two of us in this relationship. And then they just could have, kept it at that. I don't know why it had to turn into this big fiasco. It just didn't make any sense to me. Moving on to Clayton and Annalie. So Clayton and Annalie, they go to San Diego to meet with Clayton's online best friend, Cameron. And this is going to be them meeting for the very first time in 13 years. So they've been gaming together for 13 years. And this will be the first time that they meet in person. All thanks to Annalie. So Annalie is trying to push him out of his comfort zone and experience new things. But boy, did it backfire on her. So they get to the airport. Cameron is there to greet them. Him and Clayton reunite, or whatever you want to call it, and it was really beautiful. So they're in their car, and Cameron is driving them to their Airbnb. They get to the Airbnb. It's a very nice Airbnb. Clayton said that he decided to splurge and get like a very beautiful, spacious house for their stay there in San Diego. So after that, they go out to dinner with Cam and his girlfriend, B. And while they're at dinner, the waitress comes to take their order. Oh, before we get there, Clayton had asked Cam to be his best man, and Clayton was, very appreciative, and he was really honored that Clayton would ask him, and he, of course, said yes, he would do it. So then after that, the waitress comes and takes their drink orders, and Clayton doesn't drink alcohol, so he ordered some type of virgin drink, and he tells the waitress, yeah, I'm ordering a virgin drink because that's how I'm living right now. I'm living as a virgin because my girlfriend refuses to sleep with me. Why did he go do that? Like, Clayton. But this is what you do when you take out an introvert. When you take out someone who's so introverted as Clayton is. I'm an introvert too, but I know how to act in public. So when he said that, Annalie was extremely embarrassed. I mean, she was embarrassed to the point where I think she was fighting back tears. And so not only did he say that, but he went on, like he kept on talking about it. And then it became a topic of conversation at the dinner table about how Annalie refuses to sleep with him. And everybody was embarrassed except for Clayton. And so I think that Cam and his girlfriend B were trying to make the best of it because Clayton just kept on talking about it. And so I think B asked the girlfriend, why do you not feel comfortable being intimate with him? And Annalie had said that because there's no privacy at his apartment. His mother is there. It's a small apartment. The sounds carry through the walls. So I just don't feel comfortable. But then Clayton says, well, what about when we went on our little getaway? We were at a hotel. It was just the two of us, and you still denied me. And I was like, Clayton, no, you're doing the most. And so Annalie tells him that this is something that we need to be discussing in private. This is a private matter. And Clayton says, no, this is what we do here. We talk about stuff like this with our friends, and we talk about this stuff like this in public. So Annalie completely shuts down, and Cameron even tells Clayton, I think you're going to be in the doghouse, because she completely shut down. She was fighting back tears. And then after that, she told him that she wanted to leave. She wanted to get the hell out of there. So Clayton, sweetheart, my love, you just made things worse. And you're trying to get closer to Annalie, and you're trying to get the sparks started with her. And, it's just not going to happen now. It is for sure not going to happen now, Clayton. Clayton, how could you? How could you say that to the waitress and in front of everybody? How could you talk like that in front of your fiance and embarrass her like that? That's just awful. That was just awful. Clayton, that was a wrong move. That was the wrong move. And maybe when he tries to talk to her in private, she does not respond well. She shuts him down. I don't know. So that's when you just have to move on, Clayton. That's when you're just going to have to move on. You're just going to have to give her time and give her space. And if she's still not responding to you the way you want her to respond, then maybe you need to consider, I don't know, breaking up. I hate the fact that my solution is to break up, but I don't know what else to say about these people, because it's like nobody's willing to, no one is willing to like do what needs to be done. Everybody's so stubborn in these relationships. So it's like, if you allow her to have some space and let her make the first move or something, try that instead of constantly, bringing it up and feeling like you're pressuring her. You want to talk about it all the time. You're trying to like passive aggressively get her to do what you want her to do, and she's just not responding. Then just let it go. Leave it alone. Let it go. If you have a real relationship where you really enjoy being with one another, that's going to come eventually. That's just going to come eventually. It may not come when you want it, but it's going to come eventually. And if it doesn't happen at all, if it's like you get married and it's still not happening, then maybe I need to just break up. I don't know what else to tell y'all. Moving on to Sam and Citra. So Citra has arrived in the U.S. Now they're driving to Sam's house, and she's going to be living with Sam and his dad and his brother. I'm just... okay, so we have Sam, who's still living with his relatives. We have Clayton, who's still living with his mother. Um, we look, I don't understand how people feel like they are ready to get married if they don't even have their own place. I don't want to be too judgy about that, but you're bringing somebody over. It doesn't even matter if they're from another country or not. They could be right here from the U.S. It doesn't even matter. If you are wanting to get married, and so why don't y'all just wait until you're able to be on your own 2 feet before you start getting married and having, your spouse or your fiance come in and live with you? I don't get it, because I'm thinking to myself how uncomfortable it must be for Citra to be moving in with his brother and his dad. And if it's temporary, then why didn't you just push back applying for the visa until Sam got on his 2 feet, until Sam is ready? Y'all, anyways, so she's here. And she arrives at the house, and he gives her a tour of this house. His room is abysmal. It's awful. It's horrible. It is so messy. There is so much junk piled up everywhere. And I'm like, Sam, why don't you people clean up before your respective others arrive? Why don't you want to give the best impression of yourself when your fiance arrives? Why do you want your fiance? Do men not understand what messy is? Do they not understand the concept of cleaning before you have company over? I'm not understanding. His room is awful, and this is a room that she's going to be sleeping in, and he's going to be sleeping in his brother's room, because before they get married, they cannot share a bed together because of her religious beliefs. So the room is bad. Okay, fine, whatever. So then he shows her the bidet. And I remember, because he got a bidet for her because she had told him that she refuses to use a regular toilet. She has to have a bidet. And this reminds me of Eve and Muhammad, because Muhammad was not going to stay in Eve's house unless she got a bidet. That's just, I understand. That's just coincidental. That's what I'm going to say. It's very coincidental. So his dad asks Sam, when are you going to convert to Islam, and how is this process going to go? And he tells his dad that once Citra's dad arrives, they're going to go to the mosque and they're going to say a prayer, and then he's going to cleanse himself. And then he said 1,000 angels will enter him. I don't know if he explained that correctly. I don't know if it was translated, I don't know if something was lost in translation, but I'm assuming, okay, I guess they're going to enter his spirit, his soul or something, these 1,000 angels, and then he would have converted to Islam. And so Citra invites the father to the mosque and says, if you want to witness this, you're more than welcome to witness this conversion at the mosque. And Sam tells Citra, I don't know about that, because my father is an atheist who believes in aliens. So I don't know if he's going to want to be a part of any of this. The next day, Citra wants Sam to clean out his car. Y'all, the car was a nightmare. The car was an absolute... Okay, forget about cleaning for your fiance who's coming from Indonesia. What about cleaning for yourself? Are you worth it? Are you worth a clean room, a clean house, a clean car? Do you have enough value in yourself? Do you think of yourself enough to want to have that? Because the car was it was a dumpster. The car was a dumpster. There was so much stuff in that car. So much. I mean, there was pet hair. There was garbage and trash. It was just so much stuff in that car. So they go to the car wash. They clean the exterior. And then the two of them are going to go and start cleaning out the interior. Poor Citra says she had to put on gloves just to clean out the inside of his car. And why is she even doing this when you should have already done this, Sam? So as they're cleaning out the car, he drops the bomb on her that he may not get the diversion because of his drug charges, his previous drug charges. He was given diversion, and he had certain things that he had to do as part of his diversion, which I'm thinking is something like probation. And he was supposed to file or submit some type of paperwork. He submitted the paperwork late, so now they want to lift the diversion, and he might. There's a possibility that he might go to jail. So he drops this on her, and she's very affected by it. And she tells him that why didn't he tell her sooner? He gave his reasons. And then he asked her, would you have still come if I would have told you while you were still in Indonesia? And she says, I don't know if I would have still come to America if you would have told me before I left. And he says to her, well, no matter what your father says, are you still going to support me and be by my side? And she's like, I don't know. So this is very heavy for her that, these drug charges are still pending and he still has a possibility of going to jail, because she's thinking to herself, what happens if he does go to jail? I'm going to be here in America without my, soon to be husband, living with his father and his brother. Like, what's going to happen to me? So, Citra's like, I wish I could just go back to Indonesia right now and, just get away from all of this because it's just crazy. Moving on to Gino and Jasmine. So they're at the beach in Miami, Florida. Jasmine has on a bikini, y'all. I'm looking at Jasmine because, she got everything done from top to bottom. She got her boobs done and everything. I'm just looking at her and I'm like, Jasmine, are you in pain? Because they look painful. They look painful. Are you in pain? Anywho, Jasmine has such a small frame that I don't think she needs all of this, because she got her boobs done, she got her butt done, and she wants to be as small and as skinny as possible because she's on a very strict diet. So she wants to be very, very small. But then you want to have these ginormous boobs, this ginormous butt. I'm not understanding. So Jasmine tells Gino, I would love to get married right here on the beach. And Gino says, well, if you did, my family, or if we did, my family wouldn't be able to attend. And so then Jasmine says, well, even if we get married in Michigan. I'm like, what do you mean, even if? You're going to get married in Michigan. She goes, even if we get married in Michigan, I still don't want your family to attend because I don't like how your family treated me when I met them for the first time. They were questioning me about, what am I marrying you for? What am I here for? And you're doing me this big favor by bringing me to America. On and on and on. All this stuff that his family said to her that she didn't like, she brings all of that up. So Jasmine says that, but I'm willing to give your family one more chance. And if they do anything to cross me again, she says, I'm going to tell them to F off and I'm going to punch them in their faces. This is the life that you want, Gino. This is the life that you're seeking. She says she's going to tell your family to F off and she's going to punch them in the face. If they cross her one more time. Moving on to Manuel and Ashley. Manuel and Ashley exhaust me. They really do exhaust me. Listening to her Americano Spanish or her gringo Spanish. The fact that, I feel like they've got nothing in common. The fact that they're always arguing, they really, truly exhaust me. And I don't know how they don't exhaust each other. So Ashley, her mom, and her sister, they are at the wedding gown store, the bridal shop, and she is trying on her wedding gown, which to me, it didn't impress me. Her wedding gown did not really impress me much. It looked very plain, very ordinary, very middle of the road. But Ashley loved it. Her mother loved it, whatever. So she's asking her mom, are you happy for the wedding? And her mom says, I'm happy for you. So we find out that the mother is not really crazy about this relationship. She's very worried about Ashley and Manuel. She feels like they have nothing in common other than arguing and having sex. That's all they do. And so she tells Ashley, I would like to have a conversation with Manuel, one-on-one, just me and him. So the time comes for that conversation to happen. They meet her mom at the restaurant, and it's both Ashley and Manuel there. And then the mom tells Ashley to leave. She goes, you can leave. We're fine. He's going to be be just fine without you. We'll make it happen with the language barrier. So Ashley leaves, and basically the mom was like, you know, every time that you and her have an argument, you run away, and that scares Ashley. Manuel says that he'd rather leave the situation than stay and argue. Because, you know, Ashley has a temper or she has an attitude or whatever. And so he thinks it's a better idea for him just to leave instead of staying and things get escalated. So then the mom says, what else did she say to him? I really wasn't even paying attention. The bottom line is the mom says that she supports her daughter. She supports her daughter marrying Manuel, but she says that she doesn't trust Manuel. So she's going to keep her good eye on Manuel. Moving on from there, we have, what was the last couple, y'all? Devin and Nick. Devin and Nick get married. I'm not going to talk about her damn dress because I knew her dress was going to arrive. I knew that her dress was going to arrive on time. So her dress comes, whatever, it's beautiful. They get married, and I have nothing to say about Devin and Nick getting married. I have nothing to say about it. It was a nice wedding. They looked really nice. I loved their traditional Korean wedding attire. They both looked great. It was nice. They got married. After that, after the wedding ceremony, they got onto a helicopter because her parents surprised them with a sunset helicopter ride. That was very beautiful. I'm pretty sure her parents had paid for everything. And it was a nice wedding. Congratulations to Nick and Devin. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.